Hello children, we are with Unit 8, Part C, What is my name? The title What is my name is the strangest question ever one can come across. No one would ask himself or herself what his or her name is. This title denotes that one has lost his identity or forgotten their innate talents. Now let's come into the story. You can look at the picture. Here you look at a young woman, and this woman has got married, and as soon as she got married, she did all her household work so perfectly. She cleaned the house so neatly and tidily. She drew the rangolis so well that her husband praised her so much. She was so flattered by the praise that she took cleaning and tidying up the work as the sole mission of her life. She scrubbed the floor so well, and she was very happy with the work. But it happened one day that she all of a sudden started asking herself a question whether what her name was. What is my name? She asked herself. There was no answer. And when she looked out of the window, she could see a nameplate of another woman, and it was written Mrs. M. Suhasini, MA PhD, Principal, X College. When that woman has a name, I too should have a name. And what is my name? This was a big question which was pricking her so much. And she was in search of someone who could give an answer to her question. So when the maid servant arrived, she asked her whether she knew what her name was, but the maid servant had some other code name for her, and she said she didn't know. And next came her children. She asked her children whether they knew what her name was. The children said that they never knew her name. Right from the childhood, they called her Amma, and they thought that her name herself was Amma. And the children never have seen any letter coming in the name of her. So they never knew the name. And of course, that was true. No one wrote letters to her, and every time she met even her sisters or relatives in the marriage, they every time spoke about new trends or whatever the gossips of the women were. They never told her or called her by name. And next, she thought of asking somebody else, and then came a neighbor who invited her to one of the kumkum ceremony. And when she asked, slowly she tried to ask her whether at least she knew what her name was. And she said that they never asked her name, and that they all call her by Mrs. Murthy, and they all recognize her as a pharmaceutical company manager's wife. And she was now let down because she couldn't find an answer, and now she thought the one and only person who can answer her question was her dear husband. And as her husband came at night after work, she slowly asked him whether at least he knew her name. And the husband said he never called her by name. And then he said, she is being addressed as Mrs. Murthy, isn't that sufficient? And he also gave her a suggestion, if at all she wants a name, she can pick up any of the names and she can put it for herself. And she got so annoyed when she asked him if he can take any other name for himself except Murthy, then how can he suggest her to take some other name? So at last, finally, the husband asked her to take out her certificates and find out, and tells her to use her common sense. And that was true. So she went and searched for her certificates in the almirah, but no use, because she had never carried her certificate. The almirah was full of her saris, all the makeup sets and all the things except her certificates. Then she realized that she had left her certificates in her mother's house itself. Then immediately she asked 2 days permission from her husband, and she rushed to her mother's house to find her name. And when she reached her home, the mother, instead of being happy, she just was very cautious, very much curious to know whether what was the reason she came alone. And then she tried to manage to tell that she wanted to know her name. And the mother too did not know her name. She said that she always saw her as the eldest daughter who had got married to a good man who had 2 children and all the expenses. That is how the mother too recognized her as. And she asked her for the certificates, and the mother said that she had put them all in the attic. She started fishing out in the attic, but of no use, because to search for the certificates also she needs a name. Then the next day, with so much of disheartened soul, she went out searching for her name. She went to the old school, she asked the mountains, she went and searched everywhere, but of no use. And all of a sudden, someone came and called, Sarada, Sarada, where have you been all these days? Then she was so happy. She just went and hugged her, and now she realized how much important it is, her name is for that person. And then her friend, whoever has called her Sarada, she also that all those 10 friends who were all school friends were all living in touch with each other. Only Sarada is the one who had gone out of touch. And then she also reminded her how much she was good at drawing, how she had been the topper in the 10th class, and how she had been good at music too. And she even said that cleaning is just a part of life, it is not the entire life. And now Sarada realized where she had lost her identity, and she thanked her friend Pramila, and she joyfully came home. And as soon as she came home, her husband was very happy because she had come to clean up all the house, and he told how pathetic the condition of the house was in the absence of the woman. And the woman said that, yeah, let that be. Now, she started showing all the pictures that she had drawn in her school days. She fished out a certificate from the attic of her mother's house, and she had brought all those certificates she was showing to her children. Then the husband told, Emoy, go and get a cup of coffee. Then she said, do not call me Emoy Gimoy. My name is Sarada, and call me Sarada, because before, when she asked for the name, he said that I had called you Emoy, and you have never asked me not to call Emoy, and you have never insisted on calling you by name. Hence, now she insisted that she wants herself to be called by her name. So this shows how much important it is to keep up the identity of a person. That doesn't mean cleaning work is unimportant. That means that cleaning is just a part of life. It is not the entire life. Thank you.